Queens, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Queenie Makai. It's your girl, Nakaya Perry here, and today we are going to be discussing how to build that credit queen, okay? I'm going to tell you some of the tips, the tricks, all the little gems that I use to build my credit from 658 to 820 and about a year and 3 months. So I wasn't out here spending a lot of money on resources or going to all these like credit boot camps or things like that. No. That defeats the purpose. If your girl is out here trying to, lower her debt and build her credit, I don't have those extra coins to be out here, giving to, like I said, boot camps, podcasts, all the things that you have to pay for. So let me first start by explaining to you how I got to the point where my credit was like 658 to begin with. So when I was in college, I wasn't thinking long term. I was, using my credit cards for like stupid stuff. When I think about it now, I'm like, wow, girl, you really, spend interest on a burger or like on clothes that won't be in style in a few years. It was just like, young and dumb is what it was. I was then determined to build my credit. And some of the things I used were books, like this one right here, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It just kind of changes your mindset on how you look at finances, as well as the Millennial Money Fix. Both of those are good books to really help you think about longevity, what you're doing and the decisions that you're making, but also short term, to help you look into the decisions that you're making as well. So one of the things that I live by would be Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps on building your credit. So I'm sure you can't see this, but I will put the link in my information on the YouTube channel. But I really did use these steps to get my credit up. So the first step is to create $1,000 emergency fund. And I do realize that, maybe $1,000 isn't attainable for everyone. So you start where you are. Like, create your own goal queen, whether that be $250, whether that be, $500. You start and create a goal that's actually manageable and attainable for you. So that way, when you do reach that goal, then you're feeling like you can conquer anything, and then you can go ahead and raise it and work to the 1,000. Step 2 is pay off all debt with the debt snowball effect. So what that is pretty much conquering like your smallest debts first and then working your way up to the big debts. And that's important because if you start with the biggest debt first, sometimes those also have the highest interest rate. Then you start to feel like, you're not making a difference, that even though you're putting all this money to your debt, you're kind of not chipping away at it. So with the snowball effect, what you're really doing is starting with the smallest debt, paying that off, putting all of your extra money to that, because all of your other debts, you're just paying the minimum. And then once you pay off that debt, you take all the money that you're paying for that and then move to the next biggest debt. So again, that definitely helps because you have this feeling of like you can conquer the world once you get that notice in the mail or email, however you do it, that girl, that payment is paid off, that card is paid off, that whatever it is paid off. You like hype, you like, okay, I can keep going, I can move to the next debt, all of my hard work is paying off. So I definitely recommend Dave Ramsey's snowball effect. Step 3 would be to create 3 to 6 months expenses and savings. So, that's actually really hard to get to. And for me personally, I did that step out of order. I wasn't able right in the beginning to do 3 to 6 months of savings because that's a lot of money. And for me, I just felt like, everything kind of popped up. As soon as I thought that I was where I needed to be, another hidden expense popped up, whether it be, work on my car, an emergency, anything, supporting family, it didn't matter. I felt like something always popped up. And then, I just had my wedding 2 months ago. So a lot of my money, me and my husband's money, were going to that wedding. So that 3 to 6 months expenses, like, we're still working on that. Next, step 4 is invest 15% of income into Roth IRAs and pre-tax retirement plans. And so this is really important. I do have a Roth IRA account, so does my husband. And so that is different than your retirement plan with your employer. So we have both. the Roth IRA account, it has usually higher interest rates, and you still can't touch that money. But for me, it's important to have both. Step 5 is creating a college fund for your children. And so me and Christian don't have babies, but when we do, we definitely are looking to move to that step, right away. Because it's important. It helps set your children up to not be in the situation that you may be in now. And then also, it makes it easier on you when they are going to college. You're not really wondering how you're going to afford this, where that money is going to come from. So it's really important on all ends to make sure that you do start to have a college fund for your children. Step 6 is pay off your home early. So me and Christian do not own a home right now, but we are saving money. We have that put away. We asked all of our wedding guests, instead of giving us gifts, because we already live together and have lived together for like 3 years, we just asked for monetary gifts, which we put into a high interest rate account, and we continue to put money in there, so that way when we're ready to buy a house, we have a down payment. And then once we buy that house, we'll create a budget to make sure that we're able to make additional payments every year. And then step 7 is build wealth and give. And to me, that step is really important. So even though, I might not be exactly where I want to be financially, credit and financially is very different. But I might not be where I want to be with my savings, but I still make sure that I give back. So once a month, I go with my sister and some of my friends, my sorority sisters, and we feed the homeless. When I go to church, I make sure I give my tithes, my offering. It's just important to make sure that you're giving back and putting that good juju out in the world. That's the way I think about it. So give back to others who might not be in the good situation that you're in. Pay it forward. So all of those steps are really helpful, but the only way that you're really going to be successful is if you create that mindset of, girl, we gonna build this credit, girl, we gonna build this wealth. So if you aren't in that mindset, you're always going to have setbacks. So what I mean by that is, if it's not in your budget, it's not in your budget. Before, I was really committed to building our credit, building our wealth. I would do things like, oh, well, we can make it fit in our budget, i.e. like I could take that out of savings, or I could take it from, we're going to put extra on this bill, but we just won't. We aren't doing that anymore. So what I mean is, you really have to be strict with yourself and really dedicate yourself to your budget. And so for me, I literally budget everything. So when I tell people that I plan things like a couple months out, like if you're like, girl, can we do a girls trip next week? I can't, it's not in my budget. But if you ask me 2 weeks from now, it could be in my next budget. So that's really important. A $15 shirt or those $10 pants, those little bits of money add up. And you don't think about it because you're like, oh, it's $10 here, $15 here. But that money really, really, really adds up. If I really want something and it's online, I put it into my shopping cart and I just wait. If it sells out, that means it wasn't for me. That meant God said, girl, that money can go somewhere else. If it is there and I still want it, then I get it. Sometimes, after 7 days, you're like, girl, that wasn't even that cute to begin with. If it's in store, I do the same thing. I'll come back to the store, and if it's there, it was for me, and if it wasn't there, it wasn't for me. But the extra trick that I started doing is, if it wasn't at the store anymore, if I decided I didn't want it, or if it wasn't available in my shopping cart, then I put that money onto debt. So what I mean is, if I could spend $15 on a shirt, then now that extra $15 can go to a credit card. I know that sounds crazy, right? Like logging in or calling to make like little payments, but those add up as well. So just make sure that, like I said, if you can spend that money elsewhere, you can definitely put it towards your debt. Another, little tool that I use, like I said, I'm really, really big on budgeting. I write everything down, put it in a budget, and follow it to the T. There is downloadable budgets. This is one that I like to use. I'll put this link on the YouTube channel as well. But this just literally outlines everything for you, everything that you may possibly have to pay for. If you aren't using a budget yet and like a written down budget, make sure you do so. I'll put this link in. You don't have to use this one, but this one is really, really, really detailed. So, those are my little gems on how I built my credit. If you have specific questions, you can slide up into my DM. That's only if you follow me on Instagram, which is @NakaiaFierce. Or you can leave a comment below and I'll make sure to respond to you individually. So if I can be of any assistance, ask your girl. I'm here. So thank you for watching my video on Build That Credit Queen, and make sure you subscribe to my channel and watch my next video, okay? Watch it, girl. Queens, your girl almost forgot one of the most crucial tips. And you know what that is? That this journey of building your credit is not one size fits all. What that means is what worked for me on my journey and what worked for you, you know, might not be the same. Because I know that there are so many tips that when I was doing my research, you know, I was kind of like, might not follow that, or definitely going to take from that. And I kind of built to customize my own plan. So one of those things is when I was looking, you know, tips on how to build my credit, it told me not to open up any other accounts, whether that be loans, credit cards, none of that. And actually I did the opposite. So what I did was I opened up a personal loan account, and I took all of my credit card debt and moved it to this one loan. And that worked for me, okay? Because what that means is it lowered my credit card utilization to 0. So you know what? That means my credit score skyrocketed by 50 points just for doing that. And then I just, you know, had one interest rate on my loan, and then I just made multiple bigger payments to that. So for me, that worked because it looked like, you know, I cheated the system, but it looked like your girl had no more credit card debt. You know, I just shifted over, and then, you know, my score skyrocketed. Now, granted, I did have, you know, one hard inquiry, so you kind of have to take into account whether, you know, you already have a lot of hard inquiries and that could hurt you. But for me, it actually helped me out because I only had one hard inquiry on my account, and they say for credit you want to stick in between 2 to 3 to have it low impact and not hurt your credit at all. So for me, that worked out. But you know, if you can look into that little trick and see how that will affect your credit, definitely use that trick, and I think that, you know, you could possibly use that too. All right, queens, now I'm really done this time. Really done this time. See you next time.